Hello, welcome back to Eduquire. I am Divya, your UGC NET mentor. In our previous class, we have discussed Unit 1 Educational Studies. In today's video, we'll be discussing about Unit 2 History, Politics and Economics of Education. Under this, we'll be covering the committees and commissions and their contributions to teacher education. We'll discuss about Secondary Education Commission, Kothari Education Commission, National Policy of Education, the National Commission on Teachers, NCF 2005, National Knowledge Commission 2007, Yashpal Committee Report, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009, and Justice Verma Committee. Moving forward, the next topic is relationship between policies and education, under which we'll be covering what is the relationship between policies and education, the linkage between educational policy and national development, what are the determinants of education policy, and the process of policy formulation. We'll also see evaluation of policy options, and we'll also see how to make policy decision, the planning of policy implementation, policy impact assessment, and subsequent policy cycles. Next, we'll see the economics of education, under which we'll be discussing about the cost benefit analysis versus cost effective analysis in education, the economic returns to higher education, the signaling theory versus human capital theory, the concept of educational finance both at micro level and macro level, and the concept of budgeting. Last is the relationship between politics and education, under which we'll be discussing about the perspectives of politics of education. We'll discuss about liberal, conservative and critical perspectives. Then we'll see the approaches to understanding politics, that is behavioralism, theory of systems analysis and theory of rational choice. And at last we'll see the education for political development and political socialization. Now let us start with the first topic. It is committees and commissions and their contributions to teacher education. So India's teacher education evolved through major policy reports and commissions that laid the foundation for modern teacher preparation, professional ethics and quality enhancement. In this, if we see, the first one is Secondary Education Commission of 1952 to 1953. Its chairperson was Dr. A. Lakshmana Swamy Mudalyar. Therefore, it is also known as Mudalyar Commission. Right? So, what is the context of this commission? The context is, so after independence, India faced poor quality of secondary education and shortage of trained teachers. So the commission aimed to modernize secondary education and strengthen teacher preparation. So modernize teacher education, modernizing of teacher education and to strengthen teacher preparation. Right? So to do this, it has put forth certain key recommendations. Let us look at them. So the first one is aims of secondary education. Let us see what this commission suggested about secondary education. It said that there should be development of democratic citizenship. We'll discuss the major recommendations. Okay, so the first one is democratic citizenship. Right? Then there should be vocational efficiency, right? So to bring that, they introduced vocational education. There should be vocational efficiency. And then they also spoke about character building and leadership. So the education should help in the character development of the child and should promote leadership skills. Right? And the last one is national integration and social responsibility. Next one is national integration, and social responsibility. So they said that the secondary education should promote democratic citizenship, it should promote vocational training, there should be character development and leadership, there should be national integration and social responsibility. Now about teacher education. So it said that there should be a minimum of 2 years of professional training for secondary teachers. 2 years of training for whom? For secondary teachers. Then the next point they spoke of was there should be strong emphasis on practical teaching and school internship. Practical teaching and school internship. So it is after this that the internship in B.Ed programs started. Practical teaching and school internship. Next they spoke of establishment of teacher training institutes in each state. Teacher training institutes. Right? So they should be developed in each state and there should be improvement of working conditions and pay for teachers. So pay should be increased plus the working condition. So only if we are able to provide good monetary benefits to the teachers and a good working environment, the teachers will also put in efforts to develop themselves. So therefore, it's suggested that we pay teachers better and also improve their working condition. Then teachers should be given equal status to other professions. Okay, teacher should be given equal status as of other professions. Right? Then let us see what they spoke about professional development. They recommended that there should be in-service training and refresher courses. In-service training plus refresher courses. Then they also suggested that teachers should participate in educational research and experiments. Teachers should take part in educational research and experiments. Then they also suggested that promotion of teachers, it should be based on efficiency and merit and not seniority. So promotion, it should be based on efficiency and merit and it should not be based on seniority. Okay. Then curriculum reforms. So it said that there should be a diversified curriculum. What type of curriculum? It should be a diversified curriculum. What do they mean by that? That it should be inclusion of technical, agriculture and commercial subjects. There should be technical subjects, agriculture related subjects and commercial subjects. This was to give a overall development to the child, and that there should be reduction of overloaded syllabi and examination stress. Reduction of syllabus, plus reduce fear of exam. Fear of exam, right? So if we do all of this, if there is a diversified curriculum, there is reduction of syllabus and there is more emphasis on technical, agriculture or commercial subjects which would help in developing the skills of the child and reduce the fear of exam, it would bring in a diversified curriculum which would help the child, right? Then inspection and supervision. So they say that there should be shift from fault finding inspection to supervisory guidance and improvement. So the teacher, whenever a teacher is taking class, if someone is inspecting it or supervising the class, it should not be with the intention of finding faults in the class, finding what the teacher is doing wrong. Rather, it should focus on where the teacher could improve, what are good practices in the classroom, or where the teacher is not able to deliver. Okay, it is basically hand holding the teacher to help her perform better. So there should be shift from inspection. There should be shift from inspection to guidance. This guidance will help to improve the classroom teaching learning practices, right? Okay. So what was the overall impact of this Mudaliar Commission? It laid the foundation for modern secondary education in India. So it laid foundation for modern secondary education in India. Then it brought focus on teacher competency, training institutes, and in-service trainings. So it spoke extensively about teachers. Okay, so there should be focus on improving teacher competency, right? There should be in-service training, teacher competency, in-service training, and teacher training institutes (TTI). Okay. Yes. The next one is Education Commission of 1964 to 66. Its chairperson was Dr. D.S. Kothari. This report is called Education and National Development. The famous quote here is, "The destiny of India is being shaped in her classrooms." So this commission, it is also known as Kothari Commission. Also known as Kothari Commission. So what was the context of this commission? The context was it needed a comprehensive review of the Indian education system to align with national development goals. So whatever education system we were following, it had to be aligned with the national developmental goals. So to ensure this alignment, this Education Commission of 1964 to 66 came into picture, right? Next, what are the major recommendations of them? So first, teacher education as a continuous process. They said that training should not end with B.Ed. Teachers must undergo lifelong professional development. Training, it should not end post B.Ed. It is a lifelong process. Should go on forever. Okay. Then they also said that there should be introduction of integrated model, that is combining theory, practice, and research. Integrated model of teacher training. What all should it include? It should include theory plus practical knowledge plus research. And they should go on forever. It is a lifelong process. Then quality and professionalism. So teaching to be treated as a profession of national importance. So teaching. Now these are, if you can see, the integrated model like theory, practical was also suggested by Mudaliar Committee, and also this teaching to be treated as a profession of national importance. Here in Mudaliar Commission, what did they say? They said that teaching should be treated equally along with other professions. Here also they are saying that teaching to be treated as a profession of national importance. Right? Then there should be merit-based there should be merit based recruitment. Merit based recruitment should be there, plus promotion should also be based on merit. Okay, there should be nothing seniority based. It is based on merit. It is based on how the teacher is performing. Then teachers should be role models of moral and ethical value. Teachers should be a role model. What kind of role model? Role model such as of moral and ethical values. Moral plus. So a teacher should display moral and ethical values. Next, pre-service and in-service training. They said that there should be integration of general and professional education. There should be integration of general plus professional education. Then they suggested that there should be establishment of state institutes of education. State institutes of education, that is SIEs. Okay, and national staff colleges for in-service training, plus national staff colleges. Now, why were both of these introduced? For in-service training of teachers. Then they also spoke about teacher-pupil ratio. They suggested that the ideal ratio is 1:30. That for every 30 students, there should be one teacher. Okay, this is the ideal classroom. And this, they are suggesting it at the secondary stage. Okay. Next, the educational structure. They introduced this 10 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, pattern of schooling. 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern of schooling. Next, curriculum and evaluation. They advocated for an activity-based, learner-centered methods. There should be a lot of activity-based education, right? Then there should be, it should be child-centered. It should be child-centered and activity-based, and there should be internal assessment, and there should be continuous evaluation. There should be continuous evaluation. The CCE model. Now, this is where it started, but we later named it as CCE. Okay, so the base for CCE model is with Kothari Commission. It started during this time. So, what was the impact of this? Kothari Commission, it brought national uniformity in education. What did it bring? It brought national uniformity in education. All this 10 plus 2 plus 3 or 1:30 ratio in service training, all this was to be adopted by the whole nation. Therefore, it brought national uniformity. Then it was also the basis for national policy on education, that is NPE 1968. Now, this was in 1964 to 66. So, post this, it gave way for National Policy on Education 1968. Okay, so also it established concept of teacher as agent of social transformation. It introduced the concept of teacher as an agent of social transformation. Right? Next, National Policy on Education, NPE 1968, and it was again revised in 1992. Okay, so this 1986 policy, during this time the Prime Minister was Rajiv Gandhi. So what was the context in which this policy came in was, it was aimed to make education responsive, inclusive and quality oriented. It was supposed to make education responsive, inclusive and quality oriented. Quality oriented, all of this post independence reforms. So to bring in all of this, the national policy on education 1986 was brought in. Okay, so what were the key provisions for teacher education? They saw teacher as a central figure. They said that no system of education can arise above the quality of its teacher. What did they say? They said that no system of education can rise above the quality of its teacher. That is, the teacher education recognized as a distinct professional field. Teacher education, it was recognized as a distinct educational field. And then it also spoke about institutional framework. That is, during this time, the diets were established. What are diets? Diets are District Institute of Education and Training for primary and elementary teachers. For primary and elementary teacher training. Okay, so diets were established to provide the training for whom? For primary teachers and for elementary teachers. They also brought in CTEs. What are CTEs? They are colleges of teacher education. Now these were for secondary teachers. Okay, so primary and elementary, for the training of primary and elementary teachers there were diets. For training of secondary teachers there were CTEs. They also helped in the establishment of SCRTs and NCRTs to develop teaching resources and research. SCERT and NCERT. This NCERT at the national level and SCERT at the state level. Then about professional development, they said that there should be continuous in-service training and workshop for teachers. There should be continuous teacher training plus there should be in-service workshops. Then there should be creation of National Center for Teacher Education, the NCTE. Okay, National Center for Teacher Education. Okay, then about the quality and innovation, they said that there should be focus on learner-centered pedagogy. Learner-centered pedagogy. And there should be introduction of Operation Blackboard to provide teaching learning materials. Operation Blackboard was brought in during this time. This was to provide teaching learning materials to all the schools. Okay. Then they also spoke about women and equality. They said that there should be encouraged more female teachers for girl education. Okay. They wanted more female teachers. Now, if there are more female teachers, what will it do? It will encourage parents to send girl child to schools. Okay. This will improve their education and provide them better opportunities. Then they also suggested performance evaluation and community feedback. Performance evaluation of how a teacher is performing in the classroom plus community feedback. Okay, this was to hold the teacher accountable to deliver whatever is supposed to be done in the classroom for the benefit of the child. So what was the impact of this? It marked a turning point. It shifted focus from teacher training to teacher empowerment and professionalism. Until now, they were only talking about teacher training. So it shifted focus from teacher training to teacher empowerment. It empowered the teachers in the classroom plus their professionalism. These were the major focus. The next one is National Commission on Teachers 1983 to 85 and 1999. The chairperson for the 1983 to 1985, which is also known as the first commission, was Dr. D.P. Chattopadhyay, and the chairperson for the second commission in 1999 was Dr. Yashpal. Okay, so we'll see the key points. First, let us see from 1983 to 85. They spoke about the role of teachers. The first point is role of teachers. Okay, so Chattopadhyay's commission, it said that teachers are nation builders and social reformers. They are social reformers plus nation builders. Nation builders. Then they spoke about professionalization, that is introduced concept of teacher professional standards. Okay, so how the professional development should be, what are the various things in it, they spoke of all those things. So professionalization. Then they spoke about pre-service education. Now the teacher education that we speak of is of two types. One is pre-service, the other one is in-service. In-service is what the teacher receives once they have joined into a school. Okay, so the training that they receive when they are working as a teacher is in-service. The training that they take to become a teacher, that is before they join the job, it is pre-service. I hope this is clear to you. So this Dr. Chattopadhyay, he spoke about pre-service education. They said that the strengthened link between schools and teacher training institutes. Okay, so pre-service training is the link between what? Between schools and between teacher training institutes. Okay, how now teacher training institutes, it would provide interns to the schools who would go and learn there also. Okay, then the status and working conditions. Status and working conditions of the teachers should be improved. Okay, so there should be better pay. There should be some autonomy given to the teacher to plan how they want to carry out their classrooms, and there should be participation in the decision making. So whatever decisions we are taking, teachers should be included in them. They should have some autonomy and there should be better pay. So all of this will help in improving the status and working conditions of the teacher. Then they also spoke about ethical conduct. So they proposed a code for professional ethics for teachers. What did they do? They proposed a code for professional ethics of teacher. So how a teacher should be, how they should behave in the classroom, how they should behave in the school, what are the ethics that the teacher is supposed to follow, all of those were laid down. Okay, then let us look at the key points of the 1999 one. So it emphasized competency based teacher education. They suggested that there should be competency based teacher education. This was to develop the overall skills of the teacher, and they also introduced ICT in teacher training. So Dr. Yashpal's commission introduced ICT in teacher training, and it highlighted the importance of research and reflective practices. So they suggested that there should be research plus reflective practices in what adopted in pre-service training. Okay, and they also recommended upgradation of diets and SCRT infrastructure. Diet and SCERT, their infrastructure was to be improved. Okay. So what was the impact of this? It influenced later reports such as NCFTE 2009 or the Justice Verma Committee of 2012. So all these later reports were influenced by this, and the quality of teacher education was improved, and they emphasized and stressed on the continuous professional development. Okay. So they continuous professional development, continuous professional development plus teacher quality. Both of these were improved because of this National Commission on Teachers of 1983 to 85 and 1999. Okay. The next one is National Curriculum Framework NCF 2005, a very famous one. So it was prepared by NCRT under Yashpal Committee. Okay, let us see the focus area of this. Okay, so National Curriculum Framework 2005, it focused on the shift. There should be shift from rote learning to constructive learning. So the shift from rote learning to constructivism was proposed by NCF 2005. Remember this word, constructivist. Okay, it was suggested by NCF 2005, and they emphasized on critical pedagogy and learner agency. Critical pedagogy and learner agency. That learner should have autonomy to study what they want to. Okay, there should be some autonomy, and constructivism basically talks about giving the learner opportunities to construct knowledge on their own. Okay, so the curriculum to integrate values. What else should the curriculum include? It should include values. It should include peace education, should include health, then it should include environment. So a very holistic approach to education. Because we are talking about constructivism here, teacher to be acting as a facilitator. Teacher should facilitate the learner, and teacher should not dictate. Okay, teacher should give autonomy to the child to learn. So therefore teacher should only act as a facilitator, right? And reflective practitioner. And teacher education should promote active learning and inquiry based methods. There should be promotion of active learning plus inquiry based approach. So what was the impact of this? It transformed classroom practices and redefined teachers' role. Okay, it transformed how the learning was happening in the classroom, because we shifted from rote learning to constructivism. We brought in critical pedagogy, where the child is given opportunities to think, dialogue, and critically see what the thing is before accepting it. Okay, a lot of opportunities for the child to question why something is like this, and a lot of learner agency. And also curriculum included values, peace, health and environment, and teacher acted as a facilitator rather than dictating the child what they should learn. And they also promoted active learning and inquiry-based approach. The next one is National Knowledge Commission of 2007. Its chairperson was Sam Petroda. So the major recommendations of National Knowledge Commission was there should be quality of teacher education. They spoke about the quality of teacher education. How to improve this quality of teacher education? By strengthening what should be strengthened? The teacher training institutes, okay, and educational institutions plus universities, okay. So the quality of teacher education to be improved by strengthening educational institutions and universities. Now they also spoke about ICT integration in the classroom. ICT integration, so digital resources for teacher training. Teachers should be made aware of these resources during the training period. And the recruitment of teachers. They also spoke about teacher recruitment. They said that there should be a transparent system ensuring, again, merit-based, and there should be equity in providing the recruitment opportunities. Next, they also spoke about innovation and research. They spoke of innovation and research. So they encouraged experimentation and open access materials to provide opportunities for the teachers to experiment and research in the field, okay. And they also brought in the concept of networking. That is collaboration between school, colleges and higher education. Collaboration should be there between schools, then there should be colleges and higher education institutions. So all the three should collaborate, okay. So what was the impact of this? It linked teacher education with India's knowledge economy vision, okay. The next one is Yashpal Committee Report 2009. The title of this report was Learning Without Burden. Now what were the major objectives of it? It was to identify causes of curricular burden and reform schooling. So you have to identify the curricular burden, okay. This identification will help in reform schooling. The next one was to improve teacher education for holistic child development. Teacher education to be improved. Now because of this improvement, what will happen? It will provide holistic child development, okay. Now to do this, there were certain key recommendations, okay. The first one was to reduce content load and exam pressure. Reduce content load plus exam pressure. Then they said it should promote child-centered pedagogy and creative learning. Child-centered pedagogy plus creative learning should happen in the classroom, okay. Then there should be reforms in teacher education curriculum to make it activity based. So teacher education curriculum should be reformed. Why it should be reformed? To make it more activity based, okay. They should not be learning only in theoretical sense. They should also have some activity based or practical experiences to help them understand the learners in their classrooms. Then there should be introduction of continuous assessment. There should be continuous assessment and not rote learning in the classrooms. Okay, and it also encouraged link between teacher training and classroom practices. Teacher training, and there is a link between teacher training and classroom practices. So you help the teacher in the training period to give them a practical knowledge of how to handle their classrooms. Okay, so the impact of this was it influenced NCF 2005. It influenced NCF 2005, and they brought in this constructivist approach to learning, and it also influenced NCF TE 2009 to bring reforms in teacher education, okay, teacher training. So this was for school and this was for teacher training. Both of these were brought in because of the recommendations of Yashpal Committee. The next one is National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, NCFTE 2009. It was prepared by National Council for Teacher Education, that is NCTE. Its vision was to prepare professional and humane teachers who are capable of reflective practices and inclusive education. Okay, so to prepare teachers who are more understanding of the students' needs and also have professional ethics and are able to deliver better in the classroom. So what were the core features of this? It was shift in perspective. The first one is shift in perspective. Now this shift in perspective from teacher training to teacher education to teacher development. Okay, so first it was teacher training. From teacher training it shifted to teacher education. From there it shifted to teacher development. So to help a teacher develop professionally, the idea was brought in, and it focused on integrated model. Integrated model, that is link between theory, practice and school experiences. So the link between theory plus practice, that is the internship, plus school experiences. The next one is reflective practice. Reflective practice. So teachers as researchers and thinkers. Okay, there should be developed those skills also, the research skills and the thinking skills of the teachers, and also the professional ethics. The professional ethics. Teacher identity based on social justice and care. The professional ethics of the teacher, and they also spoke about inclusive education. That is, there should be sensitivity towards diversity and special needs of the learners. So to develop those sensitivity in the teacher also, they brought in this concept of inclusive education in teacher training. Okay. Next, internship and school experiences. Next one is internship plus school experiences. So they said that a minimum of 20 weeks of practice training. Okay, practice training. So teachers, in the pre-service, okay, before they go to teach, they should be given a minimum of 20 weeks of teaching experience to help them understand the learners in the classroom. And they also spoke about ICT and innovation. ICT and innovation. They said that encourage digital pedagogy and e-learning to develop digital pedagogy plus e-learning. So what was the impact of this? It established reflective and inclusive teacher education philosophy, and it redefined the teacher's role. So what was the impact of this? It established reflective plus inclusive teacher education philosophies. Reflective plus inclusive. Okay, reflective plus inclusive teacher education philosophies. Our last one is Justice Verma Commission of 2012. Its chairperson was Justice J.C. Verma. It was constituted by Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now, what was the background of this? It was formed in response to teacher education quality crisis and regulatory lapses in NCTE, that is National Council for Teacher Education. So because the quality of teacher education was not up to the standards that was expected, and because there was regulatory lapse in NCTE, the Justice Verma Commission of 2012 was formulated or established. Right. So let us look at the major recommendations. So it said that NCTE should be revamped. Revamping of NCTE. Role to be strengthened. Role to be strengthened, plus they should be made more accountable. Okay, and it also spoke about integrated teacher education programs. Integrated teacher education programs. So what did it say? That the 4-year programs, okay, the 4-year programs such as BA, B.Ed, or the BSc, B.Ed, right, or BLEd. So to attract young talent, it started this 4 years integrated course, and it also spoke about 2-year B.Ed. 2-year B.Ed for graduates who want to enter into teaching. Okay, this was for graduates who want to enter into teaching. They introduced this 2-year B.Ed, and then institutional accreditation. The next one is institutional accreditation, that is quality assurance through NAC. Okay, we have these NAC ratings for institution plus NCTE coordination. Then teacher educator qualification. So minimum M.Ed degree with research component. So whoever is training these teachers, okay, pre-service teachers, whoever is becoming a teacher to teach them, they should have a minimum of M.Ed degree which should have a research component in it. Okay, this was the minimum qualification required for teacher educators. For teacher educators. Then the school internship and mentorship. So there should be real classroom exposure as part of training. So there should be school internship plus mentorship. So the pre-service teachers are to be sent to these schools where they gain real life experiences as part of their training, and they will have qualified subject teachers in the school to mentor them and guide them. And the last one is reforms in admission and curriculum. Reforms in admission and curriculum. So there should be focus on ethics, plus there should be focus on inclusion, ICT, plus reflective practices. All of these are for the teacher training. Okay, they should have ethics as part of their curriculum. There should be inclusion, that they should be studying about ICT, then reflective practices. So what was the impact of doing all this? It was revitalized teacher education system, and it led to NCPE 2014 regulations, okay, and it also led to NEP 2020 teacher education framework. So NCTE 2014 regulations were based on this, plus NEP 2020's teacher education framework was also based on this, right? So now moving forward, our next concept is educational policies and national development. So let us first understand the meaning and nature of educational policy. So an educational policy is an official statement. What is it? Educational policy, it is an official statement. Now what does the statement contain? It contains principles. It contains principles, goals, and strategies. Principles, goals, and strategies through which a state directs its educational system. All of these three, they influence the state, which direct a state to make its educational system. Okay. So educational policy, it is an official statement which includes the principles, goals, and strategies which help the state to direct its educational system. So it links national aspirations with educational objectives. It links the national aspirations. It links it with the educational objectives, right? So what are the characteristics of this? So first one is, it should be value oriented and goal driven. Educational policies should be value oriented plus goal driven, and they should be dynamic. So they should respond to the changing social needs. They should be dynamic. They should not be static, okay, and they should not be rigid. They should be dynamic in nature, and they should be multi-stage. They should be multi-stage, that is formulation, implementation, and evaluation. So whatever educational policies are being implemented, first they should be formulated, then they should be implemented, and there should be evaluation of whatever has been implemented. And the educational policies, they should be based on the past data, the research, plus consultation with the experts. Plus the consultation with the experts. So example of this, you can take the National Education Policy 2020 that we have. It emphasized on quality, inclusion, and global competitiveness, right? Next, let us look at the relationship between policies and education. How are they both related? So policies determine what, how, and for whom education is delivered. What do policies do? They determine. What do they determine? They determine what, how, and for who. What, how, and for who education is delivered. All of these three, okay, for decide for whom education is delivered. Okay, so policies determine what kind of education will be delivered, for whom it will be delivered, how it is to be delivered. All of these is decided with the help of the policies. So education acts as the instrument for policy realization. So whatever policies are being brought in, education acts as that instrument. Okay, these policies gets realized. Okay, they are enacted or they are brought into picture through education. and educational achievements reflect the success of national policies. So if someone is performing better, if because of a policy, if the result has improved or there are better learning outcomes, so all these educational achievements, okay, they reflect the success of the policies that are brought in. So, for instance, the Right to Education Act 2009, it operationalized the constitutional commitment to free and compulsory schooling. So, all children in the age group of 6 to 14 were supposed to go to school, and it has been a very successful policy also. So, the outcome, okay, the achievement of this suggested that the policy was very successful. Our next topic is linkage between educational policy and national development. So let us see how they both are linked together, okay, the educational policy and the national development. So what does education do? Education helps in building the human capital, right? It helps in building the human capital. This human capital, it drives the economic growth. So once people are educated, okay, the country develops on its own. So it leads to economic growth. Now this economic growth, it brings social justice. Okay, it tries to provide a equitable access of resources to everyone. So if there is education, it leads to human capital. This human capital leads to economic growth. Economic growth in turn brings social justice. Now, because of all this, there will be political stability. There will be political stability. So this is a one whole cycle, okay? So there are different dimensions to it. One is economic dimensions. One is economic dimension, that is, it is bringing skilled manpower for productivity. The second one is the social dimension. So what is it doing? It is bringing equality, gender justice or inclusion in the society. The next one is political dimension. Political dimension. So it is making informed and participatory citizens who know of their rights and values, okay, and their duties as well. The next one is cultural dimension. So cultural dimension helps in preservation with modernization, okay. Just because there is modernization, they are not forgetting their roots. There is preservation along with modernization of culture, okay. The next one is determinants of educational policy. So what determines an educational policy? The first one is socio-cultural factor. Socio-cultural factors, that is the level of literacy, the traditions or the diversity in the society. It determines the educational policy. So the socio-cultural factor or the economic conditions. Economic conditions. So economic conditions also determine the educational policies. The political ideologies, okay, political ideologies also influence the educational policies. Then the technological context, okay, technology also influences educational policies. Then international influence, okay, maybe the sustainable development goals that we have. So such kind of international influences also determine the educational policy. International influence. And the last one will be historical experiences. Whatever the history is of that particular area will also influence the educational policy. So, history of that region. So, all of these, the socio-cultural factors, the economic conditions, political factors, the technology, international influence, history, all of these determine the kind of educational policies that will be enacted, formulated or implemented in that particular domain. Okay. The next one is process of policy formulation. So how is a policy formulated? The first one is we analyze the situation. So the first one is situation analysis. The first one is situation analysis. We analyze what are the problems. Okay, we identify problems. Okay, and what if there are any needs. Okay, we identify problems and needs, so that is the situation analysis. So once we identify a problem, we have identified a need, we generate policy options. So the second one is generation of policy options. So what we do here, we have bring in alternative solutions. So if there is one problem, we try to see what are the alternative solutions that we can provide for this particular problem. So once that is done, we evaluate our options. Okay, if we have, let me say I have one problem and I am able to bring in 5 solutions. So next I will evaluate my options. Okay, I will evaluate my options. So I will see which one is more feasible to me. Okay, which one is more feasible to me and which has a higher impact of solving my problem. After that I will make a decision. Next one is decision making. Okay, next one is decision making, where I will select and approve one option. Select plus approve an option. Then I will implement it. Okay. Next is, once I have taken decision, I will implement my solution. So it will then to implement this, I will assign roles to someone. I will decide the timeline of when I want to start it, till how long I want to carry on the solution, and what is the budget that I would require. So whatever you require for implementing, okay, you either assign roles to people and get it done. You plan a realistic timeline. Then there is budgeting that you do, right? Then policy impact I will do. Okay, that is policy impact assessment. Policy impact assessment. Now what does this tell me? This will tell me how well the policy is. Okay, it will tell me the outcomes of it and if it is able to solve that problem. So policy impact assessment will tell me about the outcomes of the policy that I have brought in. Then the last one is policy revision cycle. Policy revision cycle. So this will be updated as per findings. Okay, if I have enacted the policy, but then after some time I find that there is some issue, I can bring in a revision, try to fix that issue. So policy revision cycle. Now this is a continuous cycle. Once you have enacted a policy, you will be revising it from time to time based on the findings that you have. Our next topic is economics of education. Okay, let us understand the concept and scope of economics of education. So economics of education applies economic principles. What does it do? It applies economic principles to, it applies this to educational planning, applies it to educational planning, financing, educational planning plus financing plus efficiency. So economics of education is applying economic principles to educational planning, how to finance it, how to improve the efficiency. So it studies how investment in education, it contributes to individual earning and national growth. So if you invest in education, it leads to what? It leads to individual earning. It leads to individual earning and national growth. So economics of education tries to understand this, how this investment in education is going to affect the individual earnings and the national growth. Next one is cost benefit analysis versus cost effective analysis. Okay, so what is, first let us talk about cost benefit analysis, then we'll talk about cost effective analysis. So cost benefit analysis, what is the purpose? Its purpose is to see whether an investment is economically justified. Its purpose is to see whether an investment, okay, is economically justified. Economically justified. So whatever I am investing, there should be some proper justification of how that is being used. Now the measurement to see if it is being done is it converts both cost and benefit into monetary terms. Okay, whatever the cost is being incurred and whatever the benefit we are getting out of it. Both of these are seen in terms of money to understand if it is very effective or not. So whatever the cost we are doing plus the benefit that arises of it, both are seen in monetary terms to understand if we are actually being benefited out of it. So to make some policy level investment decision, if I am trying to make an educational policy and I want to invest in it, so this cost benefit analysis will tell me if whatever I have invested is giving me the benefit that is equal to that investment or not. Okay. Now this cost effective analysis. So its purpose is to tell us that which program will achieve a goal most efficiently. Okay. So it measures cost per learning outcome. It does not tell you that because I've invested this much, I should get this much benefit. Rather, it tells you that this learning outcome, whatever I'm achieving, it measures it in terms of cost. So it is a comparative program evaluation. Now, if you are comparing your digital versus classroom training cost per student gains, okay. So the CBA, cost benefit analysis, it tells you what is the worth of this project. Whereas cost effective analysis, it tells you about the best option for your goal. Okay. So what is the purpose of cost effective analysis? It tells you that which one will give you better investment. So it helps you to choose. It tells you which one is more cost effective option for you. So it helps you to choose between your options. Now it helps you to measure cost per learning objective. What does it do? It helps you to measure cost per learning outcome. Okay. Now let me say that if you want to implement these digital classrooms, okay, so you will see traditional classroom, what is the learning outcome of the child, and this the digital boards that you have, what is the learning outcome you are gaining through that. So it helps you to compare and contrast between these two and choose the option that is more cost effective for you. Okay, so it is based on cost per learning outcome. Whatever the learning outcome you are achieving, based on that, it helps you to choose your options. So that is cost benefit and cost effective analysis. So cost benefit is basically telling you the worth of the project if whatever you are investing and the benefit that you are getting, are they equal or not. Cost effective analysis is helping you choose the best option based on the outcomes that you achieve. The next one is human capital theory and signaling theory. So what is human capital theory? What is its essence? It says that education increases productivity. Okay, as it is an investment, in people. Okay, its key proponents are Theodore and Gary Becker. Theodore and Gary Becker. So they said that human capital, it expands, human capital expands access And this training, whatever training we are giving to the people through education, okay, this training, what does it do? It drives the economic growth. Okay, if people are educated, the economic growth of the country obviously develops. So that is what they are saying, that if you invest in education, it increases productivity. Why? Because you are investing in people. Now if you are investing in people, obviously the economic growth of a country will be developed, right? Next one is signaling theory. It says that degrees, if you have more degrees, whoever is employing you will see you as a more able person or a more able candidate. Okay, so more able person. If you have more degrees, you are seen as more able person. Your productivity may or may not change. Okay, productivity may or may not change. Just because you have more degrees, it will not change your productivity. Because you do not have enough degrees, it is still not going to improve your productivity. Okay, so degrees may or may not change your productivity. This was given by Michael Spence. It was given by Michael Spence. So he said there should be focus on quality and not just credentials. He said you should focus on quality of the people you are employing rather than seeing how many degrees they have. So you should not focus on their credentials. Our next topic is educational finance. So what does it mean? It means mobilization and utilization of financial resources. You have to mobilize plus utilize resources for what? Education. Okay, mobilize and utilize financial resources for education. So there are two levels at which you can do this. One is the micro level, one is the macro level. So at micro level, you plan your institutional budget, what salaries you have to give it to your employees, what are the materials that you require. So all the institutional budgeting is part of your micro level finance. At macro level, you see national and state expenditure, inter-sector allocation. So at national level, you see how much you have to invest in which sector, how much expenditure will be there, and inter-sector if you have to allocate something. So at the national level, if you see, it is the macro level. Okay. The next one is budgeting in education. There are different types of budgeting that we do in education. There are three types we'll talk about. The first one is incremental budgeting. Incremental budgeting. The next one is zero-based budgeting. Zero-based budgeting. And the last one is performance budgeting. Performance budgeting. So first let us talk about incremental budgeting. Here what you do, you take your last year's budget and simply add a little extra to meet new needs. So last year budget you take plus you add a little extra, okay, to meet the new needs. So it assumes that previous year's spending was mostly correct, so you add only a little more to it. So it is easy to prepare and it is commonly used in government educational systems. Okay. What is zero-based budgeting? So every activity must be readjusted from zero every year. So there is no automatic continuation of past expenses here. Everything is questioned. So it encourages efficient use of resources and it prevents wastage. So used in new education initiatives like NEP pilot projects. So here zero-based budgeting, you again start at zero. start at 0. So here incremental budgeting, whatever you have spent last year, you are adding a little extra. But here you are again starting from 0. So you have to evaluate each and everything again and then decide your budget. So it is more, what do you call, more uh, so it encourages more efficient use of resources and it prevents wastage. Okay, it is not that every year you will have the same cost on same things. The cost keeps changing based on the demand and supply. So based on that, our budgeting should also change. The last one is performance budgeting. So this focuses on the result that you achieved, not just the money that you are spending. So expenditure is linked to the learning outcome or performance indicator. So whatever you are spending, it is linked to the result achieved. Okay, result that you achieve. So it helps measure effectiveness of educational programs. Okay, for example, the funds tied to improvement in student learning level. So if a student achieves this much result, the expenditure would increase this much. So it is based on the performance. Whatever the end result you are getting, your expenditure or your next year's budgeting will depend on the result that you have achieved. So these were the three types of budgeting. Incremental is adding a little extra to your last year budget. Zero based budgeting is starting again from zero. You are not considering how much you have spent last year. Okay. And the last one is performance budgeting. So based on the performance, that is whatever the result you are achieving, your expenditure or your budgeting will be based on that. Last subtopic in this unit is politics of education. In this, first we'll see what is the relationship between politics and education. Okay, so politics. What does politics do? It decides the aims and structure of education. Politics decide the aims plus structure of education. So whichever party is in power, based on their aims, the structure of education will be changing. So aims plus structure of education is decided by the politics. So what does education do? Education prepares citizen for political participation. It prepares citizen for political participation. So it is through education that once you reach the age of 18 years, you get your right to vote, right? So it is in a way telling you your rights, it is telling you your duties. So they both are mutually reinforcing for democracy and nation building. So politics is influencing and deciding the aims and structure of education. Education is in turn preparing citizens to participate in this politics. Okay. So the example like policies, if you see RT 2009, it reflects political commitment to equity. Why equity? Because it provides opportunities for students in the age group of 6 to 14 to attend school and receive education. The next one is perspectives of politics of education. So we'll see what are the different perspectives, their core beliefs and educational implications. The first one is the liberal perspective. So it believes that education should ensure freedom and equality of opportunity. So it emphasizes that there should be individual rights and merit-based progress and fairness. Okay, it promotes public education and choice. Next one is the conservative perspective. So it focuses on preserving cultural traditions, moral values, and the social order. So it prefers a disciplined, structured education system, and it often supports standardized curriculum and authority in school. Okay. The last one is critical perspective, also known as the Marxist perspective. So it says it views education as a place where inequality and power structure must be challenged. Okay, education must challenge oppression and the power structures. So it emphasizes social justice, equality, and liberation from this oppression. So it promotes questioning, okay, critically thinking, and awareness of the social issues around the students. So the next one is approaches to understanding politics. The first one is behavioralism. It studies politics by observing actual human behavior. Okay, its main thinker was David Easton. So it uses scientific and empirical methods such as facts, data, and survey. It focuses on how people vote, how they behave, and how they participate in politics. So it studies political behavior. Okay, and its educational link, if you see, it is understanding student elections or teacher union behavior. So basically behavioralism is observing the behavior of humans and understanding why they are behaving in such a way. The next one is system analysis. It views politics as a system with inputs, processes, output, and feedback. Okay, so inputs are the here inputs. What do they consist? They consist of demands, the needs, and the expectations of the people. Outputs are the decisions that are taken to fulfill these inputs. So the policies and the decisions that you bring in are your outputs. So it helps understand how policies are formed and how they are revised. So it is a system of policy formulation. Okay. So if you analyze for example, the education policy cycle, like the NEP formation, it is a process of system analysis. The last one is rational choice theory. So it says people make decisions that give them maximum benefit. Okay, individuals make choice that maximize their benefit. So assume every political action it is based on cost benefit calculation. Its thinker was Anthony Downs. Okay, it is used to analyze decision making in politics and institutions. Okay, so resource allocation, budgeting, and policy choices are all part of rational choice. So you see which option is best suiting your needs and which is giving you maximum benefits. That is chosen under rational choice theory. Our next topic is education for political development. What does it mean? It means using education to strengthen democratic participation and leadership. Strengthen democratic participation and leadership. So what are the major aims of this? Major aims is to develop national identity and civic responsibility. First one is national identity plus civic responsibility. The next one is encourage awareness of rights and duties. To make someone know what are their rights, what are their duties, we need education for it. Okay. Then it also promotes tolerance, dialogue, and cooperation. Promotes tolerance plus dialogue plus cooperation with others. Okay. And the last one is it builds leadership and political literacy. It builds leadership plus political leadership plus political literacy. So education helps for the political development by strengthening the democratic participation of the people and by promoting leadership. So how does it do it? It helps in bringing the national identity and developing the civic responsibility in the people. Then it makes them aware of their rights and duties. It promotes tolerance, dialogue and cooperation in the people, and it brings in leadership and political literacy. Okay. The last topic in this unit is political socialization through education. So process by which individuals acquire, what do they acquire? Political attitude plus behavior. So the process by which individuals acquire political attitude plus behavior is the political socialization, which is happening through education. Now, who are the major agents of this? Major agents are family, school, peer group, media. Okay. So all of these are helping to bring political socialization through education. So what are the outcomes of this political socialization? It helps in bringing informed, it helps in making informed, responsible and participatory citizens. Informed, responsible and participatory citizens. Okay. So political socialization helps individuals to acquire political attitude plus behavior. The major agents of this political socialization are family, school, peer group and media. So once they acquire this political socialization, what is the outcome of it? They are more informed, they are more responsible and participatory citizens of the country. So with this, we come to the end of this unit, that is unit number 2, History, Politics and Economics of Education. Hope you have understood this chapter. Now let us look at the important MCQs. Now these MCQs are very important from your UGC NET exam angle, right? Let us look at the first one. Match the following. You have to match the approaches with the key idea, okay? Behavioralism, system analysis and rational choice. So the key ideas include study of observable political behavior, input-output process of policy decisions, individual act to maximize personal benefit. There are 4 options. Please go through them and choose the right answer. It is option number 1. Behavioralism is study of observable political behavior, right? Behavioralism, behavior. Second one is system analysis. That is obviously input-output process. Systems analysis, there is a kind of system. There is input and there is output. Rational choice, individuals act to maximize their personal benefit. So it is option number A. Question number 2. Arrange the following commissions or committees in chronological order. NCFTE, Kothari Commission, NEP 1986, Justice Verma Committee. The correct answer is option number A. So first was Kothari Commission. It was in the year 1964 to 66. Then NEP 1986. Then NCFTE in the year 2009. And Justice Verma Commission in the year 2012. Right? Next, question number 3. Which of the following statements about Kothari Commission is not true? Okay. First, it introduced 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern of education. It emphasized free and compulsory primary education. It recommended the establishment of diets. It viewed teacher education as a continuous process. They are asking which of these is not true about Kothari Commission. It is option number C. Diets were introduced later by NPE 1986 and not by Kothari Commission. Okay. Kothari Commission said that there should be 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern. They emphasized on free and compulsory primary education and they viewed teacher education as a continuous process, but they did not recommend establishment of diets. Next, question number 4. The Justice Verma Commission 2012 was established primarily to suggest a new school curriculum, review teacher education reforms and regulatory structure, recommend university governance reforms, or option number D, purpose vocational training programs. Option number D, propose vocational training programs. Why was it established? The Justice Verma Commission 2012. It is option number B, to review teacher education reforms and the regulatory structures, right? Next, question number 5. In zero-based budgeting, ZBB, each budget item must be justified from scratch every cycle. Past budget acts as the base for new allocation. Only recurring costs are considered. Evaluation is not necessary. So what did we learn about zero-based budgeting? It is option number A. Each budget item must be justified from scratch every cycle. So the cost again starts from zero. So whatever budgeting is being made, it has to be justified every cycle. The next question number 6 is an assertion reasoning question. Question number 7 also. So the assertion says education and economic development are positively correlated. Reason is educated human resources contribute to innovation, productivity and GDP growth. Option A, both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Option B, both A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. Option C, A is true but R is false. Option D, A is false but R is true. The correct answer is option A. They both are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Education and economic development, they both are positively related. And also if the human beings are educated, they will contribute positively to the innovation, productivity and the GDP growth. Next, question 7. The assertion says that the Kothari Commission 1964 to 66 emphasized that teacher education should be viewed as a continuous process. The reason is it is believed that teacher learning ends with pre-service education. The correct answer is option C. A is true. Kothari Commission did view teacher education as a continuous process. Here continuous means lifelong process. So lifelong process does not end with pre-service education. Even in in-service education, they recommended that there should be in-service teacher training programs, there should be workshops, right? Refresher courses. So A is true but R is false. Next, question number 8. Policy impact assessment is concerned with determining effectiveness and outcomes, selecting new policy options, identifying educational gaps, forming expert committees. Policy impact assessment. What does it mean? It is option number A. Policy impact assessment. It is concerned with determining effectiveness and outcomes of the policy that has been enacted or implemented. Last question. Determinants of educational policy include all except political ideology, economic resources, teacher salary scales, cultural context. So what all determine educational policy? They are asking except which one. So you have to choose the odd one out. The answer is option number C, teacher salary scales. Okay, they do not determine the educational policy. So with this, we come to the end of our MCQs. With this, we end our today's class. I hope you have learned something new today. In the next class, we'll be discussing about learner and learning processes. Until then, keep watching and keep learning. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to Eduquire.